Sir, a lot of queries that we are getting are from SENVAT rules. So I would like you to please explain key points related to SENVAT rules.
Key points very difficult to go into. Each and every line, each and every word on SENVAT credit scheme is the key line, key point. Not a single line. I advise the students to study even sub rule. They have to remember even the sub rule. Say for example, rule 37C, rule 47, rule 474, say 44, 43, 4, like that. Each and every rule, sub rule, they have to read, they have to understand, and they should also know the practical application. It's very difficult to talk about a key thing. If they have any specific query, I can throw light upon that because it's a very technical topic.
Sir, they have written explain rule 5 of SENVAT credit rule.
Very good. So rule 5 is about rule 5. I say rule 5, 5A and 5B. There are three rules relating to refund. The basic principle is SENVAT credit is not refundable. That is the basic principle because it was not specified, so cash refund is not allowed. But rule 5 contemplates, it allows you to get the cash refund from the government when you export goods under a bond or a letter of undertaking. So this bond scheme or letter of undertaking scheme, you have to refer to rule 19 of central excise rules and read with notifications, notification number 42 by 2001 and 43 by 2001. And based on that, when you are exporting goods under a bond or letter of undertaking, whatever input level taxes on service tax paid on input services and inputs, excise duty paid on inputs, that you have taken SENVAT credit but you are not utilizing because you are exporting under a bond. No need to pay any duty. What about this? This remains unutilized. So you are eligible to get a refund. But how? They have introduced a notification and they have given a list of terms and conditions, very big list, and they have given the formula also, rule 5. So suppose entire product you are exporting, there is no issue, you will get the entire amount of SENVAT credit as refund. But if it is in proportion, you will get proportionately, in proportion to what we can say, export, in proportion to exports. For example, your exports under bond are 5 crore and your total turnover is 25 crore. So 5 divided by 25 into net SENVAT credit. The net SENVAT credit is, they have given the formula also. Whatever SENVAT credit reversed under rule 35C, remission, you have to deduct that. So you have to read the formula carefully. Time will not permit us to explain the formula in detail, but you will get the refund in proportion under rule 5. And there was a practical question also in the year, I think 2012, on rule 5. And rule 5A is about northeast regions, etc., who have to follow what you can say one-to-one correlation. Because of that, there may be some, because they cannot carry forward that credit, so they are eligible to get refund under rule 5A. And recently they have introduced rule 5B, particularly new syllabus students, new scheme students. Rule 5B, a service provider who is providing services under reverse charge, he is not able to utilize this credit. There is a list of service providers and they are also eligible to get refund. But remember, very, very important point, very key point under these three rules, rule 5, 5A and 5B, you are eligible to get SENVAT credit refund based on the terms and conditions given there. But remember, you are not entitled to get refund of credit on capital goods, only credit on inputs and input services. You have to remember this point very carefully. You have to read this very carefully. My dear friends, as far as SENVAT credit is concerned, scheme is concerned, you have to read each and every line clearly. Understand, you have to read between lines, you have to understand clearly, and you should know the practical application also. So very technical. Okay, done, thank you.
Sir, one more thing from where student gets stuck is SENVAT credit rules specifically related to small scale industries, 100% EOU and DTA.
Okay. One thing is small scale industry. In small scale industry, you have to read together. Small scale industry is as technical as SENVAT credit scheme. And often student do not understand. Of course, they do pass also. Without understanding also, they would be passing, because for passing it is not necessary sometimes. See, you are switching over from particular one stage to another stage. I think better I use the board. How much time is there?
So we have time.
Hmm?
Little bit time is there. 15 minutes.
Only 15 minutes. Okay.
We are late by 55. Actually, start later.
So, I can take anyway. So we have to go to customs also, na? See, small scale industry is one of the most technical topics where students pass the examination without understanding this. See, you are a small scale industry and up to the point of 1.5 crore, you want to avail CENVAT credit, you want to avail exemption. See, up to 1.5 crore turnover, 1.5 crore turnover, 0 to 1.5. No tax, no duty, but at the same time, no CENVAT credit. Got the pen? No credit. No credit on inputs and input services only, but you are still open to take. You can still take credit on capital goods anytime. Always you can take CENVAT credit on capital goods. That to 100% as per rule 4. Rule 4.2. So no credit on inputs and input services, right? So once you cross 1.5, then what happens? Tax regime. Then say for example your turnover has come down to, say has come to 3 crore finally by 31st March. So from 1.5 to 3 crore you have to pay duty here. Paid duty, you have to pay duty. And you are eligible to take credit also. Okay. So what about CENVAT credit implication here? Look at this, at this particular point. No credit, no duty. But at this particular point, you have to take credit and move forward, and you have to keep paying duty till you reach this point. At this particular point, maybe there is some inventory lying with you. Tax paid, duty paid, but credit not taken. Obviously, it is possible. So at this particular point, Rule 3.2, CENVAT credit rules, they come into picture. For a manufacturer, Rule 3.2, for a service provider, Rule 3.3. At this particular point, whatever inventory is available, on that inventory, you take credit attributable to. Whatever duties you paid on that, to that extent you take credit and move forward and keep paying duty. But once you reach this particular point, end point, that is 31st March. So at this end point again, you are reaching a level where you are having some inventory stock, duty paid and credit taken. Here, duty paid and credit taken stock is there at this end point. And next year you want to switch over to again exemption scheme. Next year you want to start again with the exemption scheme because your turnover is only 3 crore. There is eligibility and you want to continue to be SSI next year. Then what to do here? Here refer to Rule 11.2 CENVAT credit scheme, which says calculate the credit, calculate the duty in terms of the stock available. As for the physical stock, whatever credit is there, you calculate and look at the CENVAT credit scheme there and find out the difference. If the credit balance happens to be the more, suppose your credit balance as per records is 2 lakh and as per the stock it is coming to only 180, then what to do? The Rule 11.2 says this will lapse. This will lapse. So write off, reverse the credit as per Rule 11.2 and write off. This is one of the most technical areas where SSI scheme is connected with CENVAT credit scheme. You should be very careful. See here, you take credit and move ahead, whereas here you forego the credit, you reverse the credit and come to 0 level and start with zero credit because you are going to enjoy exemption up to 1.5 again, 1.5 crore in the next financial year. So you should be very careful about these two provisions, Rule 3.2 and Rule 11.2.
So we are running short of time. So we'll take one last question on central excise, and after that we'll we'll have a break, and after the break we will discuss queries related to custom service and VAT.
Okay.
So the last query is, what are the new amendments in custom excise?
Is it a query?
Yes.
So, new amendments, you are studying a tax law, particularly you are a student at the professional level, there are plenty of amendments. So, how to go about the amendments? Time will not be sufficient to go.
For this, I would
Go
like
into.
to,
What you have to do is, you have to look at the website of ICSI
sir,
or other websites or gets.
For this, students are advised to visit www.icsi.edu, and there under academic corner they would find tax updates, where which they could refer for the updates related to all the indirect taxes.
Because this is a very short time sitting. Technical aspects okay, but at the same time these general things we have to go through. But I can tell you one thing: all amendments relating to 2013, including Finance Act, even Excise Act, Customs Act, etc., are relevant for your December examination. And up to June, notifications and circulars and case study, they are relevant. 2013 budget, you have to be very thorough and very careful about it. Read thoroughly, and certainly you will get some questions relating to that. Only this much I can tell you, but there is a long list. Okay.
Now we'll take a break, and after break Miss Akansha will continue.